Konoha's Dragon Hunter Family Chapter 1. The top forging family from the country of Iron Konoha is 33 years old. At the time when the second war in the ninja world was fierce, a terrible news spread throughout the ninja world just recently. The hardcore ally of Konoha village, the land of fire, the strongest seal family in the ninja world, and the Uzumaki family of Uzumaki village. Konoha trembled from top to bottom. Not long after the war started, as an ally of Konoha village, the strongest ninja village, it was wiped out. The most important thing is that Konoha didn't even have time to send support. Konoha village ninja heart is cast a shadow. Clatter clatter. The sound of wagon wheels twisting came from the gate of Konoha village. Different from the corpses and relics of sacrificial ninjas that were sent back in the past, all the faces in this large team were unfamiliar faces, and the clothes of these people were also somewhat incompatible with Konoha village. Commoners, artisans, merchants, and many samurai. If there's one thing these people have in common, it's that they don't all seem very easy to get along with. Captain, Lord Hokage wants you to go to the Hokage building and report the details of this escort as soon as possible. Suddenly, an Anbu ninja appeared next to a man with long silver hair. This man was the well-known Konoha killing god in the future ninja world, Wudibaya Hatake Sakumo. Now Hatake Sakumo is just a quiet Anbu captain, and he doesn't have a big name in the whole ninja world. It is said that Hatake Sakumo, who led the Anbu force, secretly crossed the old warehouse along the way, or diverted the tiger away from the mountain, and escorted the Iron Country team to Konoha, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Along the way, Anbu under his command suffered a lot of losses. But Hatake Sakumo turned his head slightly, looked at the closely guarded artisans in the team, and silently comforted himself. The sacrifices of those subordinates are at least worth it. With the addition of these senior craftsmen from the Iron Country, Konoha village will be much stronger in the next Ninja World War. At the same time, the impact of the destruction of the Uzumaki clan can be somewhat alleviated. And just when Hatake Sakumo came to Hokage's office, he was still at the door when he heard a voice that was a little immature but loud. The voice is familiar, but the tone of speaking is full of strangeness. Hokage. Although I am young, don't forget that my Dragon Vine family is a big family that has been passed down from the samurai era. Take my orders. No matter what happens to me here today, not only will you not get any benefits, but I dare say that within 3 days, the chakra weapon forging technology you have been thinking about will appear in the offices of other ninja village shadows. And what kind of shit consultants are you guys? You bastards. What qualifications do you have to chatter with me, Ryu Fujikrai, here? Believe it or not, if you dare to say a word today, your rewards on the black market will be doubled tomorrow. Hatake Sakumo was stunned at the door for a while, unable to turn his head. This voice is undoubtedly what he brought back now, the top forging family in the Iron Country, and also the new head of the Longteng family, a samurai family that has been passed down for hundreds of years. Ryu Fujikrai. It's just that the voice inside the door at this moment obviously doesn't match the cute little boy he saw along the way. He only stood at the door for a short while, and he heard horrible words such as "you son of a bitch, Laozi will kill you, kill your whole family. Ahem, it's Shomao outside, come in." A slight coughing sound came from the office. Hatake Sakumo hurriedly opened the door and walked in. As soon as he entered the office, he saw a boy standing on a chair, dressed in black samurai uniform, and Utatane Koharu and Mitakado Homura with gloomy faces. Lord Hokage. Hatake Sakumo saluted 3rd Hokage Sarutabi Hiruzen, and without waiting for Hokage to ask, he reported on the escort operation this time. Although there were certain casualties, fortunately they were within an acceptable range. It was at this time that Sarutobi Hiruzen finally turned his attention to the boy in front of him, Ryu Fujikai. Hatake Sakumo couldn't help but look at this boy named Ryu Fujikai, who obviously has a face like a porcelain doll, fully explaining what is cute. At this moment, he had one foot on the chair, one foot on Hokage's desk, and one hand on the small katana at his waist. Such an offensive behavior should have been beheaded on the spot by Anbu next to Hokage, but now due to the predicament of Konoha village and Ryu Fujikai's identity as a teenager, no one cares about it. Sarutobi Hiruzen picked up the desk, the contract that was secretly signed between the head of the Ryuto family and their Konoha. The whole family of the Longteng family, together with all the retainers, industries, and several vassal samurai families, all moved to Konoha village to make ninja tools and weapons for Konoha village. On the other hand, Konoha village needs to allocate a large area, almost half of the Death Forest, to several relocated families such as the Longteng family as clan land and samurai dojo. At the same time, the high-level ninja department of Konoha village must have people from the Ryuto family to participate in the management and have decision-making power. Sarutobi Hiruzen glanced at a few of his old buddies, and now the owner of Longteng is dead, and everyone knows the cause of death. However, looking at it now, the heir of this century-old warrior family, regardless of his young age, is not easy to fool. The most important thing is that Sarutobi Hiruzen keenly saw the ruthlessness in the opponent's eyes that could kill him at any time. These guys from the samurai family, even children are so reckless. After thinking for a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen still chose to nod. Although I, as Hokage, don't know much about this matter, but there is indeed no problem with this contract. Hiruzen. Utatane Koharu wanted to say something, but was stared back by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Today's shinobi has nothing to do with the strongest Hokage, but he still has the majesty of being a Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned to look at Ryu Fujikai in front of him, and smiled. We will abide by the above content. In the future, a part of Konoha Death Forest will be allocated to you as clan land. You should settle down as soon as possible. You are also aware of Konoha's situation. We need a lot of ninja tools. Hearing this, the young man's cute face showed a ferocious wolf-like look. He also retracted his foot that was originally on Hokage's desk, and he did not forget to wipe the dust off it with his sleeve. Facing Hokage is a standard bow, and performed a samurai salute. Ryu Fujikai, thank you Hokage-sama for your understanding. I was rude just now. Regarding the ninja tool forging, after I have settled the tribe here, I will immediately let them report to the ninja tool forging department. Chapter 2 Konoha's samurai family. Seeing Ryu Fujikai put away his fierceness and immediately turned into a cute nobleman, Sarutobi Hiruzen had a kind smile on his face. He also imitated Ryu Fujikai's appearance, bowed slightly, and gave a samurai salute to Ryu Fujikai. Then, as a Hokage, I welcome the Dragon Vine family to join Konoha village. From now on, we are our own people. I'm sorry about your father's matter. It's our Konoha people's lack of protection. If you encounter any problems in Konoha village in the future, you can come to me directly. Ryu Fujikai thanked him and walked out of the office accompanied by several Anbu. At the same time, the moment Ryu Fujikai walked out of the office, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face turned cold, and he snorted coldly at Utatane Koharu, although he didn't say anything. But the dissatisfaction on their faces made the two feel uneasy enough. Regretted in my heart, if Danza hadn't brought people to the land of rain, the two of them would not have been responsible for the implementation of this plan here. Although I don't want to admit that I am a waste, but when it comes to doing such insidious things, that guy Danza is better at it. Fortunately, Sarutabi Hiruzen did not hold them accountable. The Longteng family has 3 vassal families together, and the number of people who migrated this time has reached a terrifying nearly 4,000 people. But these people are not ordinary people, just some warriors. As we all know, in today's world, samurai have already withdrawn from the world stage. Advertisement in their Konoha Shinobi village, even if it is a samurai family that has been passed down for hundreds of years, it must be honest. The Dragon Teng family will provide them with everything they need as much as possible, so that they can invest in the production of ninja tools as soon as possible. With the help of the largest family in the Iron Country, we can also get a lot of Konoha weapons. Enhancement. The situation in the Kingdom of Rain is not optimistic. On the other side, Ryu Fujikrai finally breathed a sigh of relief when he was escorted to the edge of the Death Forest by Anbu and saw the loyal family warriors. Don't look at how fierce he was in Hokage's office just now, but there was also a kind of shattering idea. In short, it is nothing more than, I have already died once, so what if I travel to the Hokage world and die again? But if you can live, who wants to die, not to mention that you are in the Hokage world now, and you have traveled to the Hokage world with cheat. Can master the power of gods, and even have the opportunity to touch immortality. If he could live under his own control, Ryu Fujikrai's mind would be flooded, and he would choose to die. But whether it is the memory taught by the father of this body, or the experience of his previous life, he told Ryu Fujikrai. If you want to live well, the first thing you need to do is to take life and death lightly. What is non-flammable? Just after Ryu Fujikrai came back, a young man in samurai armor walked over solemnly and asked a question that made people puzzled. However, the next moment Ryu Fujikrai spoke directly, Boruto. Immediately, the originally nervous young man relaxed, and a respectful smile quickly appeared on his face. The ruthless words Ryu Fujikrai said in Hokage's office just now are not fake. Although this solution is still full of loopholes, it is the best implementation method that Ryu Fujikrai can think of at present. Fortunately, Sarutabi Hiruzen still had to face and admitted the original contract. Patriarch, Konoha has sent people here just now, and they divided this area, as well as the Death Forest to the south of us, to us, and the clansmen have already started building houses. The youth reported. Ryuta Yuta, since his grandfather, has been a retainer of the Ryuta family, and has been brainwashed by the idea of loyalty to the emperor for generations. It is also one of the few Ryu Fujikrai who can entrust important tasks and is trustworthy. A high-ranking samurai, equivalent to the level of Gnin, but if there is a real fight, Ryu Fujikrai does not think the opponent is Gnin's opponent. While speaking, several middle-aged men also walked over. Ryu Fujioka, the person in charge of the forge of the Ryuto family, whose father once forged a Kusanagi sword. The family business guard, that is, the captain of the samurai guard recruited from the outside world, is also a senior samurai Yoshio Otsuka. There is also the head of the 3 vassal families of the Longteng family. Kuroki Sakukan, Shumen Saburo, and Otomo Yamashi. All 3 families are standard samurai families. Ryu Fujikrai understands that everyone needs a backbone at this moment, and he doesn't show any naive and naughty trash side. According to the differences in the population and industrial positioning of several families, these people are assigned the clan positions of their respective families. Fortunately, Ryu Fujikai's predecessor, as the heir of the Ryuto family, received the most elite education since he was a child, and the maturity shown at this moment is also regarded as a family tradition. Not many surprises. The news that the 4 samurai families of the Ryuto family, the Kuroki family, the Shuman family and the Otomo family joined Konoha village, as more and more people discovered the lively construction scene on the edge of the dead forest. It also gradually spread throughout Konoha village. Then Ryu Fujikai saw the sense of identity of Konoha village residents in this era. When these people knew that they wanted to build the clan land as soon as possible, and then quickly invest in the production of ninja tools, each of them took the initiative to help without even paying for it from the Longteng family. Or moving wood, or leveling the land, or building foundations. In this regard, Ryu Fujikai also showed the courage of the samurai family after knowing it. He directly bought a large amount of ingredients in Konoha village, and let the family chefs start to work, and provided these villagers who came to help. Meals. After this peaceful scene was known by Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen may have bought the heart of Ryu Fujikai, a child, or simply wanted to let the craftsmen of the Ryuto family devote themselves to the production of ninja tools as soon as possible. Some genin were sent directly to help build the house. At the same time, it also brought something unexpected to Ryu Fujikai. Chakra practice method. In a temporary residence on the edge of Konoha, when Ryu Fujikai received the scroll handed over by Anbu team members, the whole heart was filled with joy. I am already 7 years old, and I have already reached the age where I can refine chakra. But the former owner of his own body had no interest in chakra refining at all. Even though the family could get the refining method, he didn't remember it at all. The Anbu member wearing a mask did not leave, but gave another warning. After the head of the Dragon Vine family settles down here, if you want, you can go to the ninja school to study. This is Hokage Summer's intention. Ryu Fujikai's eyes lit up. Chapter 3 Monster Hunting World Summoning Scroll. There is a whole world behind Laozi. Now that the Longteng family has come to Konoha, it is not a place where you can go if you want. Ryu Fujikai has known this for a long time. Therefore, he has already made preparations for the family to take root in Konoha for a long time, and even to truly enter the power center of Konoha and become a big family in Konoha. And the ninja school is naturally a place that cannot be bypassed. There, Ryu Fujikai can not only get in touch with more ninja knowledge, but most importantly, he can also meet a lot of big names in the Konoha Shinobi family. If I remember correctly, the Uzusho village was destroyed some time ago, and the future second Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, Uzumaki Kushina, who was taken over by Konoha to the village, should be about the same age as me now. After Anbu left, Ryu Fujikai looked at the scroll in his hand and muttered to himself. The evil smile on the corner of the mouth, which clearly covets the beauty, is somewhat disobedient on this lovely face. In the following days, Ryu Fujikai devoted himself to the refinement of chakra. With an adult soul, it was very easy for him to refine chakra when he knew characters. Finally, after 4 or 5 days, the general framework of the clan land of the Dragon Vine family outside the Death Forest has basically appeared, and inside Ryu Fujikai, strands of chakra have finally formed a certain scale. Patriarch, Konoha is here to urge our people to make ninja tools. Serving Ryu Fujikai a sumptuous meal, watching Ryu Fujikai gobbling it up, Ryuto Yuta reported. Ryu Fujikai thought for a moment and nodded. Let them go, but pay attention, the core things can't be revealed. I'm staring at this point. Those superb forging skills are important capital for us to gain a foothold in Konoha's early stage. Once they are learned by Konoha's people go, you understand the consequences, right? Yuta nodded solemnly. Patriarch, don't worry, Mr. Oka has already told the craftsmen in advance that when some core processing steps are involved, let them bring the things back and forge them in the forge in our clan. Ryu Fujikrai nodded, and after finishing the meal, Ryuto Yuta stepped back. Before the other party left, he also explained something. You will stay at the door for a while, and you won't see anyone who comes, understand? Although Yuta didn't understand what Ryu Fujikrai was going to do, he still nodded loyally to express his understanding. When he was alone in the room, Ryu Fujikrai took a deep breath and finally mobilized his chakra. Bump! Amidst a slight explosion, the smoke dispersed, but a huge scroll suddenly appeared in front of him. The appearance is quite similar to Jiraiya's scroll in the previous anime, but there is a beautiful dragon pattern on the edge of the scroll. This is one of the reliance of Ryu Fujikrai after he came to this world, which is his cheat. This is a summoning scroll, or rather, a manifestation of the Ryu Fujikrai cheat in this world. In his mind at this moment, a strange and familiar world has been linked to him, and he can go to that world with just one thought. Just by perceiving it with will, Ryu Fujikrai already understood what kind of world it was. A game I liked very much in my previous life, Monster Hunter World. In his perception, not all maps have been opened, but just one ancient tree forest has already excited Ryu Fujikrai enough. The summoning scroll itself is not very important, it can be regarded as the interface of a game team here. Those who sign the scroll and get the consent of Ryu Fujikrai will be able to be brought into the map of the ancient tree forest by him. Hunt monsters there, collect rare materials, improve yourself. Those who do not have Ryu Fujikrai's consent, even if they sign the scroll, cannot enter that world. Ryu Fujikrai couldn't help but tremble when he thought of the experience of going to jail again and again when he played games. Although I don't know much about the monsters in this world, I don't know if they are divided into lower, upper and master levels like in the game. But one thing he is very sure of is that some large monsters in Monster Hunter World are no less dangerous than the tailed beasts in the Hokage world. It can even be said that in front of some monsters, tailed beasts are also a bunch of scum. Damn it, give Laozi time to develop. Even if Madara wants to jump out and dance, Laozi can push him to death with the summoning beast, what Jado statue, what Susanoo, what 10 tails. Laozi Ice Curse Dragon, Tiundiwang Crying Dragon, Annihilating Dragon, Golden Lion came out one after another, and there is also a volcano-sized Molten Mountain Dragon, ha 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 ha. Ryu Fujikrai's hand holding the summoning scroll was trembling violently at this moment, and he had already stepped on the Uchiha laughing three masters in his heart, wantonly looking forward to everything in his future. Strength, power, beauty. None of these things that he had no relationship with in the previous life could slip out of his hands in this life. Taking a deep breath, Ryu Fujikrai calmed down for a while, telling himself to calm down. Before you really understand the situation in Monster Hunting World, you should be the head of a warrior family honestly. Quickly opened the summoning scroll in his arms, and wrote his own name on the blank first column, stained with his own blood. Nothing has changed. After all, this thing, acting on Ryu Fujikrai, is just a simple team-building ceremony in itself. If he wants to enter the world of monster hunting, he only needs one thought. Ryu Fujikrai put his saber on and adjusted his status. With a thought in his mind, there was a bang, a handful of white smoke exploded around him, and when the white smoke dissipated, Ryu Fujikrai's body had disappeared. At the same time, after passing through multiple dimensional space walls, in the depths of a lush and primitive forest, a young boy suddenly appeared. As soon as Ryu Fujikrai appeared, he instinctively held the samurai sword in his hand, lowered his body, and looked around vigilantly. Seeing this, the eyes of the whole person couldn't help but widen. This is really different from the game map. Ryu Fujikrai had just glanced around, and he had already concluded that the map of the ancient tree forest in the monster hunting world that he had bound was completely different from the picture in his game. Although the degree of luxuriance of the forest and the appearance of the existing vegetation are the same, the terrain he is in now is obviously something he has never seen on this map hundreds of times. That is to say, what ITM bound is really a real world. Chapter 4 Herbivore that can resist amidst the sound of gurgling water. Ryu Fujikrai carefully walked in the dense forest very similar to the tropical rainforest. In Monster Hunting World, there are mainly three types of monsters. Scene creatures, small creatures, and large monsters that act as bosses in the game. The scene creatures themselves are much more abundant than those in the game. In addition to the creatures in the game, there are also many common creatures in the real world, such as snakes and rabbits. Pucci. A mindless rabbit ran towards Ryu Fujikrai, and was almost instinctively slashed by his sword, beheading it with precision. The expected things like gaining experience points in the game world did not happen to Ryu Fujikrai. This made Ryu Fujikrai somewhat disappointed. If he kills monsters and upgrades, he will definitely be able to improve in a short period of time. After all, Ryu Fujikrai, can even compromise on the length of his talisman, and he will never admit to others that his liver is not strong enough. Just as Ryu Fujikrai was groping carefully in the woods, the clear sound of running water from Fangyu in front of him made him think of something. He walked quickly towards the direction of the sound, and through the bushes, huge monsters were reflected in front of Ryu Fujikrai's eyes. It was a huge creature at least 4 or 5 meters high, with a blue-gray body, stepping leisurely in the stream, eating the fresh and tender vegetation on both sides of the stream. Advertisement herbivore. Ryu Fujikrai's eyes lit up immediately. Not for anything else, obviously compared to those aggressive monsters, the herbivorous dragon in front of me is definitely the most suitable object for me, and I can feel the difference in this world in the early stage. This thing will not attack people in the game, even if it is beaten. The first reaction is to run away immediately. Ryu Fujikrai thought about his combat power. Although due to his age, his own combat power may not be very strong. Even if he has a good samurai sword technique, he already has a certain amount of chakra in his body. To put it bluntly, it's just a fairly ordinary low-level genin who just graduated from ninja school. However, looking at the herbivorous dragons in front of him, Ryu Fujikrai gritted his teeth and decided to try it out. After observing the surrounding environment, Ryu Fujikrai soon found a small herbivorous dragon with a slightly smaller body, only about 3 meters high, and this guy was obviously a juvenile dragon. The dragon feet that looked like stone pillars stepped on the stream, but they were driving and playing with the fish in the stream. I didn't realize at all that before I knew it, I had already left my own group by a certain distance. What is even more unknown is that at this moment, a thin figure, holding a knife, has come to a bush not far from it. Well. A cheerful chirping sound came from the mouth of this small herbivorous dragon. However, at its feet, a swimming fish had already been trampled by it. And at the moment when the herbivorous dragon raised its head slightly and let out a joyful cry. In an instant, Ryu Fujikrai seemed to be a lion majesty ejected from the darkness, and the chakra short sword presented by his predecessor's father in his hand let out a low moan. It was Ryu Fujikrai who injected chakra, which was not much in the body, into it. Pfft! The icy, white light blade pierced the herbivorous dragon's neck in an instant, and before the other party Nate, Ryu Fujikrai twisted the blade fiercely. Hot arterial blood splashed Ryu Fujikrai's face, and the black samurai uniform on his small body was instantly soaked in blood. Woo-oo-oo-oo-oo-oo. Painful hissing, accompanied by the instinctive struggle of this young herbivorous dragon, immediately attracted the attention of the surrounding herbivorous dragons. Immediately, a roar full of anger was heard in Ryu Fujikrai's ears, and then in the corner of his vision, a large herbivorous dragon rushed towards Ryu Fujikrai with rumbling steps. F***K. It really isn't a game world. How dare your herbivorous dragon charge over here? Although I really want to rush up and tell the other party with the chakra short sword in my hand, you are a grass eater. Ryu Fujikrai, however, was very sensible. When the young herbivorous dragon was struggling, he decisively pulled out the short sword from the opponent's neck, and took advantage of the inertia of the opponent's body. Ryu Fujikrai, who was originally like a pendant on the opponent's neck, immediately rolled over and rushed into a bush. Blink disappeared. The sharp hissing of the herbivorous dragon behind him and the rumbling sound of chasing gradually disappeared when Ryu Fujikrai buried his head in running away. When Ryu Fujikrai finally stopped panting for breath, there was no sign of him behind him. Ryu Fujikrai took out a Bingliang pill and began to restore chakra and physical strength. This thing works well, and for a new ninja like Ryu Fujikrai, chakra recovers almost in the blink of an eye. Bingliang Guan, if you want to fight those big monsters in this monster hunting world in the future, such things are indispensable. Unfortunately, it will be a few years before the end of World War II. The whole ninja world is in short supply of such things, so it's not easy to deal with. After recovering for a while, Ryu Fujikrai started to return to the original road. At the same time, I couldn't help thinking about it. Following the route just now, he carefully came to the side of the previous news, and looked around nervously from the bushes. To his delight, the group of herbivorous dragons had already left one after another. And Ryu Fujikrai looked in the direction of the young herbivorous dragon just now, and soon found the fallen figure beside a boulder by the stream. Blood flowed from the neck artery and flowed into the stream. Great! The body is still there. Ryu Fujikrai was overjoyed, and after carefully looking at the surrounding situation again, he quickly rushed towards the corpse. As soon as one hand was placed on the other party, there was an immediate thought. Return. Brush. Chapter 5 Dragon Meat that can strengthen the body and chakra. Brush. Ryu Fujikrai took the body of the young herbivorous dragon and disappeared into the forest of ancient trees. At the same time, Ryuto Yuta, who was guarding outside Ryu Fujikrai's door, suddenly heard a violent crashing sound accompanied by ground shaking from the room behind him. It was like some heavy object suddenly fell in the room. It made him instantly alert, and tentatively opened his mouth to the room. Shia-chan. Soon Ryu Fujikrai's voice came from it, Kana. Yuta, come in. Yuta was relieved by Ryu Fujikrai's answer to the riddle, although he didn't know much about the meaning of such a riddle. Hearing that Ryu Fujikrai let him in at this moment, he pulled out half of the samurai sword from his hand and put it back into the scabbard. Open the door. Patriarch. Nani. Clang. The samurai sword that had just been put into the scabbard was pulled out again by Ryuto Yuta at the moment of opening the door, and saw the other party roll quickly, and came in front of Ryu Fujikrai. With shock and horror written all over his face, he stood between Ryu Fujikrai and the behemoth in the room. My lord, are you injured? Yuta asked nervously, but was kicked from behind by Ryu Fujikrai, who was beside him, and his body couldn't help staggering. Looking back, I saw Ryu Fujikrai scolding angrily. Why panic? Hairy and frizzy. Why don't you close the door quickly? Although Ryu Fujikrai's body was covered with bloodline at the moment, his voice was full of spirit, which instantly dissipated the worries in Ryuto Yuta's heart. Hearing Ryu Fujikrai's order, he took another careful look at the completely unrecognized creature, which had not moved at all, and hurriedly closed the door. With a bang, the door was slammed shut by Ryuto Yuta. Turning around at this moment, seeing the mess in the room, Ryuto Yuta finally couldn't help asking again. Family, patriarch, what is the situation? Ryu Fujikrai pulled the other party over, and before the other party asked a question, he issued a series of orders. Bring some big vats over here. In addition, select a few trustworthy people from among the samurai warriors. Be careful, don't disturb Anbu of Konoha. Yuta nodded and hurried down to work. Soon 7 or 8 young warriors who were about the same age as Yuta came to the small courtyard where Ryu Fujikrai lived, carrying a large tank one by one. In order not to expose the situation on his side, Ryu Fujikrai directly asked someone to carry the big tank in. He wants to decompose this young herbivorous dragon directly in the room. There is no doubt that the first reaction of these young warriors after seeing the young herbivorous dragon was not much better, but fortunately, seeing Ryu Fujikrai standing here in good condition, he did not draw his sword too aggressively. Ryu Fujikrai had no intention of explaining, and immediately asked Shikai to dig the huge guy. Dragon meat, dragon skin, and keel bones are all put out separately. Since it is the real world, Ryu Fujikrai thinks that these dragon meat and the like should have other uses. Although I have never seen this kind of creature, but fortunately, this is the ninja world after all, and people's ability to accept new things is very fast. These warriors immediately regarded this young herbivorous dragon as some kind of summoning beast. Although it's not clear where Ryu Fujikrai got such a thing, it's dead. But since Ryu Fujikrai, the head of the family, let him dissect, they will work honestly. Soon, under the decomposition of this group of warriors who are not bad at knives, apart from a thick layer of blood stains and a little bit of minced meat, there are large vats that have been sorted and placed one by one. A large tank about 1 meter high. There are 4 tanks of herbivorous dragon blood. One tank contains organs such as dragon heart and dragon liver, and the other is a full 3 tanks of herbivorous dragon bones. In addition, at Ryu Fujikrai's feet, there is a relatively complete grey-white dragon skin. Ryu Fujikrai separated these people, some cleaned up the traces in the room, and some directly set up a mouthful of pots in their small courtyard. Stew some meat. I think Konoha Anbu is now on the front line, whether it is the land of rain or the land of sand. The war is very tight, Anbu should not be so boring, spying on them, the head of a samurai family, stew meat, right. There is no fine condiment, just a very common fishy taste, and soon it becomes a large piece of herbivorous dragon meat, which changes color in the pot, and a faint aroma is scattered in the small courtyard of Ryu Fujikrai open. The several samurai who had been guarding Ryu Fujikrai all swallowed their saliva. However, Ryu Fujikrai cautiously asked someone to find a dog. After feeding a piece of dragon meat to the other party, he stared at the dog. In just about 5 minutes, the dog showed obvious excitement, wandering back and forth in the cage, and seemed to be extremely energetic. After waiting here for an hour, I didn't see anything unusual about the other party. Only then did Ryu Fujikrai feel relieved, and under the gaze of everyone, he cut off a piece of stewed dragon meat and put it in his mouth. Well, Ryu Fujikrai couldn't help but widen his eyes when he entered the mouth of the dragon meat. However, don't wait for him to marvel at the deliciousness of this dragon meat. The next moment, a warm current slipped into the esophagus along with the soup when rejecting the dragon meat, and then flowed to the limbs and bones. Ryu Fujikrai's eyes almost popped out for a moment. The changes in his body made him look down at the herbivorous dragon meat in the pot in shock. He clearly felt that his physical strength, as well as the originally wrong chakra in his body, were all nourished and improved at this moment. This dragon meat. It can even strengthen the body. Enhance chakra. Chapter 6 My Dragon Vine family holds the fourth largest summoning fairyland. After personally experiencing it and feeling that his body has indeed been strengthened and chakra has indeed been improved, thoughts flashed in Ryu Fujikrai's mind. Originally, after he entered the world of monster hunting, he was somewhat disappointed when he found that there was no so-called monster killing upgrade. But when he knew that the lowest herbivorous dragon he was hunting could actually improve his physical fitness, he couldn't restrain his ecstasy any longer. He ate a piece of dragon meat, and immediately he could feel the warmth flowing from his stomach to his whole body, and his bones and muscles were slowly improving. Although all this is because he is just a child now, and he is very weak. However, you can improve by eating, and it is definitely a super big deal for anyone to put this kind of thing on. It's no less than awakening the blood succession limit. My lord, are you all right? With a slightly worried voice, Ryu Fuyuta pulled Ryu Fujikrai back from this elevated enjoyment. He looked at the few people with burning eyes. Obviously, these people have realized that the flesh and blood of this unknown creature in front of them is of great benefit to people. However, unlike Yoshio Otsuka, another samurai team under Ryu Fujikrai, Ryuto Yuta and the others, as retainers for generations, have a very strong, even deep-rooted traditional thought of loyalty to the emperor. It is definitely more trustworthy than the samurai hired by Yoshio Otsuka and the others. However, Ryu Fujikrai still took out something left by his cheap dad from a small box he carried with him. A small porcelain bottle, from which several purple-black pills poured out. Ryu Fujikrai looked at several people. You have already realized something after thinking about it. The next thing you have to face is the secret that the Longteng family has passed down for hundreds of years. Even I discovered it when I was sorting out my father's relics recently. The next thing involves the family's core secrets. If you want to listen to it and enjoy the family's top treatment in the future, just eat this poison. Of course, your fathers, including you, have been loyal to my Longteng family for generations. Even if you don't take these poisons, I won't blame you. However, the next benefits will naturally not be yours. Choose. As soon as Ryu Fujikrai finished speaking, to his surprise, several young warriors, including Yuta, took a piece of poison from Ryu Fujikrai's hand without hesitation. In front of Ryu Fujikrai, he swallowed it directly, and opened his mouth to express his determination. Now, Ryu Fujikrai finally relaxed a lot. There is no such thing as fake poison to test true loyalty. The few pills that Ryu Fujikrai took out are indeed real poison, slow poison. You only need to take special drugs on a regular basis to safely limit poisons. As long as these people don't betray him, Ryu Fujikrai will naturally give them the antidote on a regular basis. With this guarantee, Ryu Fujikrai no longer hesitated, and immediately began to dismember the stewed herbivorous dragon meat. Oh! This taste! My lord, what kind of meat is this? It's so delicious. Yeah, I heard the name of a yakiniku restaurant in Konoha. It seems to be run by the Akamichi family, but I'm sure their meat is not as good as the meat brought out by the owner. Hiss. Do you feel it? My strength seems to have improved. This is not an illusion, I really feel that I have improved. Several young warriors could not help admiring while feasting. A young samurai seemed to feel something, and suddenly his eyes widened, just like Ryu Fujikrai just now. Ryuto Yuta also immediately felt the changes in his body. A samurai is different from a ninja and has ninjutsu. The fighting power of a samurai has stricter requirements on his physical fitness. But as long as it is a human being, it is impossible to cross those own gaps only through exercise. However, the herbivorous dragon meat brought out by Longteng opened a new door for them. While several people were gnawing on the dragon meat, Ryu Fujikrai felt that his body had a lot of energy, so he stopped eating, and while waiting for his body to absorb the energy, he began to talk about the reasons he had thought up. Actually, the meat you are eating now is dragon meat. As soon as these words came out, the movements of several people froze, and they looked at Ryu Fujikrai in disbelief. If it weren't for the identity of the other party, it would be impossible to coax them, and this meat and creature were indeed unheard of. For a moment, a crazy idea appeared in everyone's heart. Could it be, it's really dragon meat? Ryu Fujikrai smiled faintly, seeing everyone's reactions in his eyes, and continued. The origin of the Longteng family's surname itself has its own theory. Our ancestors once discovered some clues about the Fourth Holy Land. Legend has it that there are countless giant dragons living there. Ryu Fujikrai, Barabara, spoke eloquently. After hundreds of years of collecting clues, and the mission of generations of patriarchs, he finally found it in his own generation and successfully signed a contract with that holy place. I can go to that world, and I can tame the giant dragon monster there in the future, as a summoning beast. Facing the iron-like evidence in front of them at this moment, Yuta and the others all opened their mouths wide open. The fourth holy place. Thinking of the 3 disciples of Konoha Hokage who recently fought against Hands of the Salamander in Rain Shinobi village, didn't they have been recognized by the 3 holy places respectively, so they can summon the summoning beasts there and help them fight? Yuta and the others looked at each other, and they all saw the passion in each other's eyes. They are the Dragon Vine family. It's about to take off. Chapter 7 All members practice chakra, dragon blood medicine bath in the land of rain. Konoha's situation is not optimistic. Judging from the recent news, both the supplies and the army have suffered heavy losses under the massive attack of Hansa, the Rain Shinobi village powerhouse. It is said that due to the chaos of the battle in the land of rain, Konoha was caught by Rain Shinobi in a big battle with Sand Shinobi. There were not small losses on the local battlefield. So much so that when the news came back, Ryu Fujikrai could clearly feel that the atmosphere in Konoha village was much depressed. Even those Konoha civilians who helped build the Dragon Vine clan land in the past were a little absent-minded when doing things. On Ryu Fujikrai's side, everything was as usual, and he didn't show much sadness. He just asked the forging craftsmen in the clan to make as many utensils as possible. In the eyes of the villagers in Konoha village, their reaction like this is not wrong. After all, they have only joined Konoha for less than a month. It is somewhat impossible to expect people like Ryu Fujikrai to empathize with the people of Konoha village. When Ryu Fujikrai received the news, another thing rang in his mind. Nagato's parents seem to have been killed when a defeated Konoha village ninja went out to collect food, right? But counting the time, it should have happened. Thinking of the leader of the Mirai Katsuki organization and the future leader of Range Shinobi Village, Uzumaki Nagato's Rinnegan, Ryu Fujikrai also has a desire in his heart, but it is not strong. After all, those eyes weren't Nagato's own either. For things like strength, it is more reassuring to improve from oneself in a down-to-earth manner. For Ryu Fujikrai, who has already entered the ancient tree forest once and benefited from it, the future route is also very clear. Increase the resources for developing Monster Hunting World. Use these resources to enhance the strength of yourself and your clansmen, and at the same time establish industries one by one in Konoha, and use this as a link to establish a link with the major ninja families in Konoha, so that the family can truly gain a firm foothold in Konoha. Ryu Fujikrai is not a kid who has never experienced anything. He understands that unless he is so powerful that he can destroy the Super Ninja Village with a single breath, otherwise a series of existences such as personal connections and family business are unavoidable. Don't you see that according to the direction of the plot, the future development direction of the ninja world is completely love and killing among various second generations? While Ryu Fujikrai was thinking, the door was knocked again. After answering, Long Teng Yuta walked in with a plate of food. The smile on his face couldn't be concealed at all. On the food plate, there are bowls and dishes, which contain exquisite dishes and thick soup. Just the aroma lingering in the air is enough to move your index finger. My lord, according to your instructions, we asked the kitchen to study the ingredients of the herbivorous dragons, and made these dishes according to the method of meat. When the heat is properly controlled, the effect is not only not discounted, but even better. Slightly improved a little. Hearing this, a smile appeared on Ryu Fujikrai's face. Stir-fried dragon liver, pan-fried dragon steak, cold dragon plate tendon, dragon bone soup and other dishes are in front of you. Ryu Fujikrai seems to have seen the future of the family. Although as a samurai family, each one's taijutsu and chakra are much stronger than ninjas of the same level. And while those ninjas were training, the members of the Longteng family only needed to sit at the dining table and enjoy the delicious food. Ryu Fujikrai picked up a piece of stir-fried dragon liver and put it in his mouth. The delicious taste and chewing sensation made Ryu Fujikrai squint his eyes comfortably. My family is indeed a famous family that has been passed down for 100 years, and the family's chef skills are also top-notch. Eating these things is completely a simultaneous enjoyment of the body and mind. While enjoying the food, Ryu Fujikrai did not forget the business. Have you all learned the chakra refining method that I asked you to practice? How is the effect? Hearing this, Long Teng Yuta nodded hastily. According to your instructions, the dedicated warriors who belong directly to the patriarch have all practiced, and after eating these ingredients, they have refined chakra that day. Basically all of them have improved a lot. However, since the family warriors are all non-attribute chakra, there is no way to practice more ninjutsu. Ryu Fujikrai nodded. Chakra attributes, indeed a problem. Even his body itself is an attributeless chakra. However, Ryu Fujikrai is not discouraged because of this. The exploration of Monster Hunter World has just begun, and there may be a solution to this problem in the future. As for the behavior of giving dragon meat to Yuta and the others, Ryu Fujikrai has no regrets. I know the danger level of Monster Hunting World best. Not to mention that he is just a child now. Even if he becomes an existence like Madara and dares to mess around in Monster Hunting World, he will be dealt with in minutes. Let these warriors who are loyal to him improve, and he can bring more people into the world of monster hunting. At that time, there will be a lot more prey brought back at one time. In addition, I also have the energy to study the herbs in Monster Hunting World, and I don't know if I can make any potions. After a dinner, a steaming tub is ready without Ryu Fujikrai telling him. The water inside, however, has a faint smell of medicinal materials, and at the same time, there is some dark red indistinctly. This is a medicinal liquid formulated with the herbivorous dragon's blood according to the family's medicinal bath formula. After experimenting, taking a bath in it while performing chakra refining is not only efficient, but also has an immediate effect on the improvement of the body. And taking a bath after eating dragon meat, the effect is more than two. However, only Ryu Fujikrai, the head of the family, is qualified to use herbivorous dragon materials for cultivation in this way. As for Yuta and the others, they are already very grateful to Ryu Fujikrai for eating dragon meat and dragon bone soup. The night was quiet, and there were no lively night activities in Konoha village during the war. It was in the temporary residence of the Longteng family not far from the Death Forest. Ryu Fujikrai soaked in the bathtub, leaving only his mouth and nose outside to keep breathing. Close your eyes and refine the chakra. And if you can see the situation inside his body, you can find it. Right now Ryu Fujikrai's body was like a boiler running at full capacity. The dragon liver and dragon marrow that I ate today is the fuel, and the medicinal power that continuously enters Ryu Fujikrai's body around the body is the wind that blows in, making the fuel burning in the body more intense and abundant. The moment the raging chakra was extracted, it was divided into two strands in Ryu Fujikrai's body. Part of it is added to the chakra that is running at this moment and becomes Ryu Fujikrai's chakra reserve. The other part is facing Ryu Fujikrai's body and started nourishing. Chapter 8 8-year-old Genin's combat power, the shortcoming that the samurai was made up for early the next morning. Ryu Fujikrai spent almost the night in the tub. However, when I got out of the bathtub at this moment, not only did I not feel any discomfort, but I felt that my body had changed a lot overnight. After washing up, he took the knife and came to the small courtyard. As in the memory of his predecessor, he closed his eyes and adjusted his state, and suddenly drew his knife at the wooden stake in front of him. He/slash. There was no feeling of the sword cutting anything, and even Ryu Fujikrai's movements were ridiculously fast, as if a black shadow flashed and a gust of wind blew past. Crack! A clear sound of breaking came from the stake, followed by the smooth incision, which was split into two by the stake and fell to the ground, making a clear sound. But Yuta, who just came over, happened to see this scene, and his eyes widened suddenly. Just now Ryu Fujikrai's II/ was as powerful as his own, and the opponent even had a higher standard than himself. It is said that he can already be called a senior warrior, and there is no problem. Senior samurai are not as good as Genin in terms of combat effectiveness, but they have no problem dealing with Genin who doesn't have much ninjutsu ability. In other words, the owner of the family already possessed Genin's fighting power at the age of 7. Seeing his achievements at this moment, Ryu Fujikrai also had a look of joy on his face. Compared with the previous Iai-Jan who could only leave a slash mark on the stake at most, after his body was improved and he used chakra, his strength had increased by more than 10 times. Congratulations, Patriarch, your strength has improved. Yuta congratulated Ryu Fujikrai almost enthusiastically. He understood that as long as the strength of Ryu Fujikrai, the Patriarch, improved, their subordinates would soon be able to benefit from it. Yuta is very excited when he thinks of how much his strength has improved after the chakra in his body has gradually increased these days. He couldn't help thinking of his father who was loyal to his family. The old man was unwilling until his death, unwilling that the era of the samurai had declined, and he was suppressed and beaten by ninjas. "Oh, Yuta, how was last night? Did you improve?" Ryufuji withdrew his posture, the sharpness in his eyes disappeared, as if he had become a cute young patriarch here, and asked. Yuta hastily nodded respectfully. "The strength of the subordinates has been improved again. With the previous combat experience and sword skills, the subordinates are confident that they can fight against the usual Knin. All of this is due to the cultivation of the patriarch. Yuta is willing to dedicate everything to the patriarch in the future. Even if there are swords in front." "All right." Seeing the other party's reaction, Ryufuji waved his hand and interrupted the other party's oath. Compared with oath, Ryufuji believes in the binding of interests. If he can have enough benefits, plus the glory of a samurai, people like Yuta will not choose to rebel against him. "Did you find me for something today?" Only then did Yuta react, and hastily lowered his voice, saying carefully, "Master Patriarch, we are about to run out of herbivorous dragon meat, and now there are only 2 tanks of dragon blood left." As he spoke, he looked at Ryufuji expectantly. It was only then that Ryufuji realized that with his own improvement, the demand for dragon meat was also increasing, but he nodded directly. "Bring a few people to my room tonight." Yuta immediately saluted excitedly, but then saw Ryufuji walking towards the outside, so he hurriedly followed. During the war, as the captain of the family's enshrined warriors, he still had to personally protect the head of the family. Ryufuji came to the construction site of his family outside the Death Forest. Genin is like cannon fodder on the battlefield, but he is a rare main force in the construction site. Even though they were sent by Hokage, Ryufuji still paid these genin according to the level of Konoha sea-level tasks today. The result is that although the Dragon Teng family has not been here for a long time, the generosity and principled style have spread throughout Konoha. And these genin can get paid without going to the battlefield. Naturally, they are very attentive in doing things one by one. In a month's time, the land of the Longteng family has become a decent place, a standard Sakura flower country classical mansion. The Longteng family is not short of money, and building a more luxurious house can not only win some face for the family, but also show that the Longteng family will take root in Konoha for a long time. Let some people in Konoha feel more at ease with their samurai family. Looking at it this way, the clansmen will be able to officially move into the clan's territory in at most 3 months. Ryufuji nodded in satisfaction. At this time, an Anbu member was rushing over. Under Yuta's vigilant gaze, he opened his mouth. "Lord Longteng Patriarch, Master Hokage, please go to Hokage's office." On the way to Hokage's office, Ryufuji wondered why Hokage asked him to go. Could it be that the herbivorous dragon was exposed? It shouldn't be. There are not many people who have handled this matter. Even the side of the Longteng family is in charge of the kitchen. The secrecy should not be leaked so quickly. Or, I let the family preserve the core technology, which attracted Hokage's dissatisfaction. That's not right. Which of the Konoha clans doesn't have any secrets? Can't the Konoha seniors ask them to take it out? Could it be that they think our samurai family is easy to bully? And while Ryufuji was thinking wildly, soon Hokage's office arrived. When Ryufuji walked into the office, he was immediately attracted by 2 small figures in the office. 2. Chapter 9 What a beautiful red hair! I became a transfer student with Kushina. Ryufuji was stunned for a moment. The existence of red hair is hardly familiar in the Hokage world, the Uzumaki clan. Some time ago, Uzumaki village was exterminated, and the Uzumaki tribe who looked at it scattered and started their escape journey. According to the original plot, Konoha will bring back a girl from the Uzumaki tribe named Uzumaki Kushina, who will become the second Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, the wife of little son Hokage, and the mother of Nalido, the son of Luck. It's just. Ryu Fujikrai saw two Uzumaki girls appearing in front of him, and his brain couldn't even turn it around. What's happening here? Could it be that I remembered it wrong? No, besides Uzumaki Maito, Konoha is the only Uzumaki tribe, isn't it Kushina? What are you looking at? Look again and dig out your eyeballs. But at the moment when Ryu Fujikrai's brain shut down, this picture of staring at him directly angered Uzumaki Kushina, who was already like a little hedgehog. At this time, when the country is ruined and the family is destroyed, Uzumaki Kushina is officially the most insecure, and he always looks like this to everyone who explodes at any time. The red-haired girl next to Kushina pulled her carefully. Sister Kushina, don't do this. Unexpectedly, Kushina raised her head and pulled the girl behind her, looking like a big sister. Lee Daozi, don't be afraid, with me here, this bastard won't even try to touch you. When Ryu Fujikrai heard this strange name, he temporarily attributed this situation to the mighty power of some kind of butterfly effect in his heart. It seems that with his appearance, some original plot characters have also undergone some changes. Facing Kushina, who looked like a hot red pepper, Ryu Fujikrai was not only not angry at all, but showed excellent self-restraint and smiled slightly. I'm sorry, it's the first time I've seen such a beautiful red hair, especially on such a beautiful girl. I'm a bit rude, sorry. As he said that, Ryu Fujikrai bowed slightly to Uzumaki Kushina, but now, he couldn't fix Uzumaki Kushina. Especially in front of Hokage and several Anbu members, when Ryu Fujikrai praised her beauty, Uzumaki Kushina's little face immediately flushed red. He opened his mouth, wanting to curse, but also felt that it was inappropriate to do so. In the end, he could only snort softly and turn his head away. Sarutabi Hiruzen saw all this in his eyes, and secretly thought in his heart that it was very correct to let Ryu Fujikrai come over. They are all of the same age, and the power of Ryu Fujikrai's own family cannot pose a threat to Konoha. There is nothing wrong with letting him contact the Uzumaki tribe. On the contrary, the other party is also an outsider who recently joined Konoha, who can comfort the Uzumaki tribe very well. Seeing Ryu Fujikrai looking over, a gentle smile appeared on Sarutabi Hiruzen's majestic face. At this time, Shinobi Hiruzen is in the prime of his life, so it is obviously inappropriate to say that his smile is kind. He looked at Ryu Fujikrai and smiled. It seems that Patriarch Dragon Vine has already refined chakra, and you really deserve to be the descendant of a centuries-old warrior family. Ryu Fujikrai nodded with a smile. This is all thanks to the chakra refining method sent by Mr. Hokage. The effect of Konoha's chakra refining method is stronger than that of ordinary products outside. I don't know why Hokage-sama came to me today. Could it be that there is something wrong with the ninja tool department? Sarutabi Hiruzen shook his head. Since you have successfully refined chakra, even if you want to run a family and learn something about ninjas in the future, there is nothing wrong with it. There shouldn't be much going on in your clan recently, right? I'm going to let you go to the ninja school to study. Immediately, Ryu Fujikrai couldn't help but looked at Kushina and the two beside him. The latter blushed, as if he hadn't recovered from Ulyss's teasing just now. Advertisement. Perhaps seeing Ryu Fujikrai's thoughts, Sarutabi Hiruzen didn't mean to hide anything, and nodded directly. These two are the orphans of the Uzumaki clan. Due to the urgent situation of Konoha, Uzumaki village was in a catastrophe, and the rescue of the village was delayed. In the end, only the two of them were brought back. After all, they are the descendants of Konoha's allies, we can't ignore them. I plan to send them to the ninja school, with you, as transfer students. Ryu Fujikrai nodded, only half believing Sarutabi Hiruzen's statement in his heart. He had his own conjecture and judgment on the reason for the demise of Uzusho village. It's up to Hokage-sama to decide. Obviously Sarutabi Hiruzen didn't think that Ryu Fujikrai would refuse. When Ryu Fujikrai just nodded and agreed, the relevant procedures seemed to have been prepared a long time ago, and all the procedures were completed. Soon people brought Ryu Fujikrai and the others to the ninja school. And along the way, Ryu Fujikrai also saw the character of a Uzumaki girl that was not in the original book. Although the appearance is not as good as Kushina, it also has the unique cuteness of the second dimension, but that character. Ryu Fujikrai couldn't help but think of the little CP Hinata. Taking a look at Kushina with a proud look, a bold idea emerged from Ryu Fujikrai's heart. Red hair. Chapter 10 Kushina confessed to me. It has been nearly 20 years since ninja school was founded by second Hokage Senju Tobirama. And Konoha is recognized as the strongest ninja village among several ninja villages. When Ryu Fujikrai saw the plot about ninja village education, he was somewhat indifferent. In the plot, the Knin school is like a playhouse, and there are actually no other ninjutsu professors except 3-body technique. On the contrary, it is the brainwashing of the will of fire every day. However, when Ryu Fujikrai was brought to the ninja school by several people from Anbu, he found that it was different from what he imagined, whether it was the training ground or the classrooms one by one. Taijutsu, theory, and teaching of ninja basics are all available. The same as in the plot are the students in the classroom, some are studying hard, and some are sitting in Wang's hometown and dozing off. Third shift. When several people from Ryu Fujikrai were brought here by the teacher of the ninja school, Ryu Fujikrai saw the familiar golden touch in the classroom at a glance. Ryu Fujikrai's eyes swept across the opponent's body without a trace, with golden broken hair, sunny and handsome image, combined with the obsessive eyes of the little girls in the class. It's true at first glance, the little son Namikaze Minato. Bringing Ryu Fujikrai and the others to the class, the ninja school teacher cleared his throat and announced to the students in the class. These 3 are the latest transfer students in our class. They will study with our 3rd class in the future and become qualified ninjas. Next, let them introduce themselves. After finishing speaking, under the watchful eyes of the class, everyone's eyes focused on Uzumaki Kushina, who was closest to the teacher. Originally in Hokage's office, Uzumaki Kushina, who was unusually bold and aggressive, faced such probing eyes, especially those aimed at his own hair. For a moment, a little apprehension and uneasiness appeared on his face. Naturally, Ryu Fujikrai saw this in his eyes, knowing that this girl had a soft heart, and he had already decided to win her love, so he took a step forward. Under everyone's amazed gaze, a pair of eyes with eagle-like sharp light scanned the circle. A loud voice came from his mouth. My name is Ryu Fujikrai, the head of the Ryuto family who joined Konoha recently. You have also seen my current attire. I am not a ninja, and I do not intend to become a ninja in the future. As soon as these words came out, everyone's eyes were instantly drawn away from Kushina. And when they heard that he claimed that he did not intend to become a noble ninja, some people in the class would whisper to each other, and Kushina, who was originally uneasy, could not help but tilt her head slightly at this moment, looking at Ryu Fujikrai. This boy who took the initiative to praise his beautiful hair. Ryu Fujikrai didn't care much about the reaction of these people and continued. In the future, I will make samurai equal to ninjas, or even surpass ninjas. As for my personal ideals. Ryu Fujikrai raised his face slightly, and under the gaze of the Sarutobi Hiruzen telescope technique in Hokage's office, he said a word suitable for his age. I will marry the most beautiful and powerful woman in the world. Let her spread branches and leaves for my Longteng family. Pfut. Ha 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 ha. In Hokage's office, even Sarutobi Hiruzen, who is as steady as Sarutobi, laughed when he heard Ryu Fujikrai's pursuit. He even gave up his image in the end, and laughed out loud. Hatake Sakumo, who was also in the office, shook his head helplessly, thinking, he is indeed a child who has been influenced by the traditional samurai family thinking. Although it hasn't been long since he inherited the position of patriarch, he already has the consciousness to work hard for the continuation of the family. As for what Ryu Fujikrai said, what makes a samurai equal to a ninja, and even surpasses a ninja? No one cared, none of the students and teachers in the classroom, or the few people in Hokage's office, thought that Ryu Fujikrai could do it. After all, since the ninja era to the present, ninjas have been noble existences, and even especially after the existence of Senju Hashirama appeared in the ninja world, the profession of ninjas has been pushed to the height of the atmosphere. As for the samurai, they are already as sad as ants in the sand. After Ryu Fujikrai introduced himself, he backed away. Although this self-introduction made the teachers of Class 3 dumbfounded, his eyes turned to Uzumaki Kushina. Student Kushina, then you come next. With Ryu Fujikrai in front of Uzumaki Kushina, he was much calmer and took a step forward at this moment. I am Uzumaki Kushina. The voice was trembling, but the volume was very high, as if to embolden himself. Seeing that no one responded, he suddenly yelled. I'm going to be the first female Hokage in this village. As soon as this remark came out, the scene became even more dead silent, but it was these people who were shocked by Uzumaki Kushina's words. Just as Uzumaki Kushina finished speaking, before she could wait for the students in the class to respond, she heard a familiar voice beside her suddenly. Ryu Fujikrai looked at her with a slightly teasing smile. So, does this count as a confession? Everyone was stunned, even Kushina didn't turn the corner, wondering what Ryu Fujikrai meant. But I saw Ryu Fujikrai stretch out a hand, and while snapping his fingers, he made a look of reminiscence. When I introduced myself just now, I said that I want to marry the most beautiful and powerful woman. Now you say that you want to be a female Hokage. Kushina's eyes widened, her pretty face full of collagen quickly blushed, and her embarrassing eyes almost burst into flames. However, Ryu Fujikrai asked with a smile as if he didn't feel anything yet. So, Uzumaki Kushina-san, do you really have that idea?